Chapter 8, Making the Business Case Using the Buckets. We are now talking about our product and how we put it into these buckets, our solution, if you will, into these buckets so that you know how to organize your thoughts about your product. Clinical. Clinically, number one, we know the product meets the surgeon's technical specifications and requirements. They require it to do certain things, the product does that. That's number one clinical. Does the doctor say it does what he or she needs? Number two, we know it's safer for the patient. You're much less likely to introduce bioburden to the patient because it's way easier to clean. That's definitely safer for the patient. And a frustrated surgeon is not as good a surgeon as a happy surgeon. So if it's not clogging in the case goes a little bit faster, surgeon's less frustrated. All of that is much better for a patient. Operational. Operationally, I can think of three benefits. Number one, cases don't slow down. Room turnover accelerates because the staff has told me that they don't have to check and make sure all the kerosenes are safe before they can put them on their back table. So they're able to do more cases. They're able to turn rooms over slightly faster. And SPD has eliminated multiple steps from the process, so they are operationally more efficient. Strategic. Strategically, we know that surgeon satisfaction goes up because it feels like the hospital has invested just a little bit of money to make their cases go better. We also know it makes their case times a little bit more predictable so that they can perhaps use their OR block utilization a little bit more effectively, a KPI. We know they're trying to decrease the potential for infection everywhere they can. This is one more way to help decrease the risk. And every single hospital and ambulatory surgery center in the country is trying to have a more efficient sterile processing department with greater throughput in their hours of operation. Those are all strategies, and we help with all of them. Some a lot, some a little, but we all work towards it. Financial. Finally, financial. As we've said a couple times, these instruments are a little bit more expensive, but we think they're worth it from all those things we just talked about, but also over a 5-year period, the total cost of ownership is probably pretty close because there's less repairs, there's a better warranty, and the instruments are made better so they wear out less. So we think it appears financially pretty much the same at 5 years, even though you're paying a little bit more per instrument. So we take the potential benefits that we believe we have, drop them into these buckets, and then, and this is a different course, we practice the questions we need to ask to elicit the responses that reflect these buckets. If we believe that, we want to get the voice of the customer, as you can see over my left shoulder, because if I say it, maybe it's persuasive, but if they say it, it's believable because they believe it. And so will value analysis every time they call the clinicians and say, why do you want us to pay $300 more per instrument? They can now tell them why, because we've used their words. And I'll show you at the end, at the executive business summary, how we do that. But remember, it's really key to get the voice of the customer. So we find that thinking about where our potential benefits fall into what buckets, and then when someone says, hey, I like this, I'd like to get this thing approved, and I'd like to get the hospital to buy these for me, we put those questions to them and say, well, let me ask you a few questions. And we start to walk through them, and we take their answers and their honest voice of the customer, and we put them all together, and we've got an executive business summary.